Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click on that like button if you like my video. Also click on that notification bell. Thank you. Hey folks, in this video we are going to learn the importance of virtualization, why it is so important that you should know virtualization if you are in IT field. So let's spend few minutes and let's go over the real importance of virtualization. The very first thing is system administration. So now let's say if you are in the capacity of system administration, you are managing the operating systems such as Linux, Windows, Solaris, AIX, or any other operating system for that matter. And I'll tell you that almost 90% of the operating systems nowadays run on virtualization. So if you are a Linux administrator or Windows administrator, you need to install this operating system. The virtualization team will give you an empty shell to go ahead and install the Linux and Windows operating system. Or if you are working for a smaller company, then you might be responsible to manage your own virtualization as well as your own operating system. So if you know Linux or if you know Windows or any other operating system for that matter, you need to know the virtualization. And I would say the basic virtualization that you should start with is VMware. You should know how VMware works, how you could create a virtual machine, how you could install, attach an ISO image, and go through the installation, how you could manage a virtual machine. Then we have network storage administration. So if you are not on operating system, and let's say you are a network guy, you manage the Cisco routers and switches. Or if you're a storage guy, you actually manage the big shelf storage and stuff. Your role doesn't end there because your involvement gets into this virtualization as well. Because nowadays you have to deal with switches that attaches to the virtualization hypervisors that provide the virtual switches or routers or firewall. If you're in storage, you have to give the storage to the virtualization, the attachment to the hypervisor. So that storage, even though it's external, can be provided to all the virtual machines that are running in virtualization environment. You cannot have the storage for the local ESXi because when you're going to have a local storage for an ESXi and you assign that storage to your virtual machine, then you're not going to have a clustering or a redundancy as a high availability or DRS available in virtualization. So you got to have an external storage, and you being a storage administrator will have to deal with the virtualization all the time or virtualization administrators. All right, then fiber switches and storage arrays that we talked about, not just fiber, not just the Cat5 cable attachment to the ESXi layer. You would have to deal with the fiber switches, meaning you have to do with the zoning and most likely your storage connected to the Brocade switch, a fiber switch, and from their fiber switch, it's going to the VMware environment directly attached to the ESXi server. All right, programmers and developers, it is very important for them to know virtualization. Why? Because they are the one who do and go through the automation and testing. If you give them the environment which is running an operating system and they run their applications, they need to know somewhat of operating system. They need to know the VMware because they could, if they know the virtualization, they know the different features that are available to them. They should know that the virtualization is given with the snapshot technology. So for developers or programmers can snapshot a virtual machine, come back to it if they break a code or something breaks. There are a lot of automation they could put together for the virtualization. So if they are going into the programming and development field without knowing how virtualization works, I'm sorry guys, I have a bad news for you. You're not going to be successful. That's why you need to know virtualization. Then the database or application administrators. Application administrators kind of go hand in hand with programmers and developers. So let's talk about quickly about these administrators. So databases or application run on operating system. We all know that. That operating system runs on what? Nowadays, most of the time on virtual machines, virtual environment. So you being a database administrator, you should know what your limitations are. How far you could go with database administration. You could have one virtual machine or two virtual machines set up in cluster. I know database administrator previously has hesitation of going completely virtual. Say they wanted to have a production machine on a physical and a backup machine on virtual. Nowadays, once they realize that virtualization has become so powerful, they are going all in. They are running their database administration, sorry, database applications onto the virtualization completely. So if you are a database and you want to add more resources, you know you could do that. You could just simply reach out to the virtualization administration, ask them to add additional storage. And if you know how virtualization works, you know the virtualization guys are not going to tell you, hey, we don't have more space because we are limited to the box, the physical box. So you know how it works. So that's why it's important for you to know virtualization. And the cloud. Do you know that approximately 90 to 95% of the cloud infrastructure run on virtual environment? If it is Amazon, if it's a Google Cloud, if it is Red Hat Cloud, if it's a VMware Cloud, no matter what cloud technology or what cloud environment they provide you, they have underneath or under the hood, they have virtualization running. So if you wanted to become certified, let's say in a cloud, you want to become a cloud certified engineer, the very first thing you have to learn is the virtualization. Now let's talk about any IT jobs. So we talked about all this different roles. Now let's talk about the jobs itself. QA automation people, they do a lot of testing, so they should know virtualization. IT technicians, systems or network architects who design everything on the top layer of system administration. Data science who runs the report, analytics, and security folks. A lot of security goes hand in hand with virtualization, and you should know how virtualization works. So, few things as of you are going through the virtualization, you should know why you are going through this virtualization, understanding and learning about virtualization because it is very important for you to learn. Without virtualization nowadays, you are not completing your entire IT career. You are regardless where you stand in IT, you gotta learn virtualization.